Hello, all listeners and audience on Women Dialogues. And once again, I'm your host, Shashi, with you all to create more voice for women and by women. Today's our guest is Karen Sherman from DC, USA, and she's joining us to share her vision, her work, and what she is doing all around the globe. So let's get excited and to welcome her, Sharon from DC. Welcome, Sharon, on this platform.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sashi. I'm very happy to be here with you today. Look forward to our conversation.
Thank you. And we are really excited, especially as you are president of Aquila Institute. You are doing a lot of work, especially in Africa and Rwanda and all, for women, for their leadership and all. So let's start by hearing your early life story and success journey to learn, to motivate, and to inspire. Tell us about your childhood life and experiences and how they helped you to become the way today you are.
Yes, no, thank you. So I grew up in Portland, Oregon, and I was always the kind of kid who wanted to help other people. I was very involved in community service initiatives. I was the kind of kid who went door to door collecting, canned foods for the hungry and selling candy bars to send kids to summer camp. And I don't know why that was, but I found it always very personally fulfilling to be able to give back to others. And so I did my undergraduate work at the University of Oregon and drove across the country to Washington, D.C. for an internship. And then I got very involved in helping to raise consciousness about the nuclear arms race and really helping women to understand through citizen diplomacy the high costs of otherness in terms of what was happening between the United States and the former Soviet Union. I ended up going to the Geneva Summit talks in 1985 and meeting General Secretary Gorbachev at the time and becoming very enamored with the transformation that was going on in the former Soviet Union, and decided to go back and get my master's degree in Russian East European studies. And I started doing development work across the former Soviet Union, mostly with women, to help them make the transition from a planned to a market economy and get back on their feet. And one of the interesting things I noticed was that, when the whole economy collapsed and there was no Soviet Union anymore, it was really the women who picked up the pieces to help rebuild society, to start small businesses, to support their families. And it's that impetus which led me to really understand the pivotal role of women as change agents. And from there, I spent 10 years working with women survivors of war and conflict and post-conflict zones around the world, some of the worst places on earth to be a woman. South Sudan and Congo and Iraq and Afghanistan, some very, very difficult environments for women, um, and really felt that in that sense, women were able to again transform their lives, transform their families through economic participation and education. And so that's really the background that's really brought me to my work today at the Aquila Institute.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And that's really fascinating. And it is really bringing a lot of new way to see how women as a peace builder, how they can develop. As you said, in the end, as the women, those are the really peace builder of any nation or any society or any community. So when we talk about your experiences, you have worked globally and you have worked in such kind of environment which are really hard for being a woman. uh, what kind of thing when you find when you went there or when you worked being there as a woman, what kind of challenges you found?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always super careful because as an American woman coming into another country where I don't live there, I'm not from there, I don't really have to deal with those day-to-day challenges. So in a sense, where I've tried to come in as a development professional is really trying to be more behind the scenes to help support and encourage women in those countries to have the confidence and the resources and the wherewithal to drive change in their own societies and to really be the ones leading that. Because what I have found is, you could come in with your American lens and say, we think this is how it should look and this is what you should do. But I feel very ill equipped to be able to do that. Instead, my goal would be to put, Rwandan women forward and South Sudanese women forward and Congolese women forward and Afghan women forward so that they can tell their own stories in their own words and really look at creating systemic change in a way that makes sense within their culture and context,
Yeah.
which is really vastly different from country to country and women to
Yeah.
women. The
Yeah.
one universal I have found, though, is women are confronting many of the same challenges, whether we're talking about the United States or Afghanistan or Rwanda, which is high levels of violence against women, lack of education and opportunity, primary responsibilities for taking care of the household and domestic responsibilities, which limit their ability to engage in paid work. There's some universal truths that I've seen in every single country context that I've worked in. And to me, those are worth us coming together as women and really trying to drive this change. And I think you saw this disproportionate impact on women so much around the world during this COVID pandemic.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. And when you are bringing this, especially when we are talking about women and your work, which you are doing and you did for women, and especially now also you are continuing, I think, especially for women leadership program and through your institute and all. So when we are talking about your current work, you have your institute, which is called Aquila Institute. So first, before going into deep, let's just know about what is the meaning of Aquila, how you decided to come up with this name and what it means of.
Yeah, it's a great question. Actually, Aquila means wisdom. It's a female word for wisdom in both Arabic and Swahili. And so Aquila was actually founded in 2010 because of the dearth of higher education opportunities for young women, particularly in Africa. I mean, you had you know, women going through primary school, but really kind of a cliff when it came to completion of secondary school, and
Yes.
even more so women going on to higher education. And yet
Yeah.
we know that every year of schooling increases a woman's earning potential, and by extension, her ability to support her family and create change and have more decision rights within the household and in her community. And so keeping girls in school longer makes so much sense. But it isn't just about staying in school, it's about the kind of education that a young woman is receiving. And what I loved about Aquila and still love about Aquila was rather than starting with the supply, if you will, meaning that there's hundreds of thousands of underserved women in need of education, Aquila started with the demand, which was the skills gap in the labor market, and worked backwards to make sure that when those young women graduated from higher education, they would be able to transition directly into the workforce. And
Mm-hmm.
I would argue that, there's a lot of groups focused on girls' education and young women's education. But to me, if that
Yeah.
education doesn't lead to workforce outcomes, it's really limiting a young woman's ability to make change in her family and community. It's that education and economic piece together which really creates that change.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you are talking about this education and economic, if it would be nice if you can share some of your programs name or some maybe the details how really they integrate the both part in their learning, which can give the source or the ready to use those skills for these women's how you do
Absolutely.
that.
So At Aquila, we offer three majors, and these three majors are linked to the fastest growing sectors of the economy in Rwanda. One is hospitality management and tourism. The next one is small business management and entrepreneurship, and the third one is information systems, which IT is often considered a non-traditional skill for women. And in fact, when we first launched a major in IT, we had 8 brave young women who decided to major in IT because, you know, they were getting a lot of pressure from family members and teachers saying, oh, that's not a profession for young women. But we
Right.
know that there's a lot of opportunities there. And so what Aquila offers is a 2-year diploma program, and it's really applied and technical curricula linked with really soft skills or leadership skills. 21st century skills like decision making and problem solving and critical thinking and teamwork and collaboration. All
Yeah.
of the coursework is done in English. All of the students have a high level of digital literacy skills because that essentially makes these young women workforce ready. The combination of having those academically rigorous skills combined with
Yeah.
these soft skills and leadership skills. And as you
Yeah.
mentioned, leadership is really at the core of this too, because I think for so many young women, given certainly our demographic, these young women don't have the confidence necessarily to go out and secure jobs. And so we really focus on leadership as a core piece of the curriculum. So not only do young women graduate with the skills and the knowledge, but the confidence and the values to be able to go out and really build meaningful careers.
Yeah, yeah, that's wonderful, and that's really exciting the way you are working for women to create them the all the way the holistically and the all the way ready to serve their purpose, their own career, and all about whether it is about leadership, whether it is about the particular IT or hospitality, all those skills. So when we talk about definitely you might have encountered some of the challenges like you mentioned just now. Like initially it was as the IT was it was a concept, or it was a thinking like it's very much male dominated kind of field. And when you encounter such kind of challenges, what motivate you, or what inspire you to give those people the understanding that no, this is the women field. We know all this, like we are doing all these work now today. You and me, we are sitting two different part of the world, but we are still connected because of this. So how you make them that understand?
Yeah.
If we are talking about this initial time, now we know people are understanding, people are accepting, but when you started this your work.
Yeah, it's such a good question. What's so interesting is that, the data really speaks for itself, honestly. And
Yeah.
so when these 8 brave young women that I mentioned went
Yeah.
out and got kick-ass jobs in the workforce, and
Yeah.
they were earning, sometimes 10 or 15 times the national average income in their country,
Yeah.
that's a game changer. And actually, that program has grown by like 2,000% because
Wow.
women all of a sudden could start to see, and their parents could start to see, that
Yeah.
these women were getting great jobs in the workforce. They were
Yeah.
bringing in money. They were having more decision rights in their families and their communities. And so, one of the things I'm most proud about is the data piece. So when we look at the data from our graduates, we know that 89% of all of the graduates from Aquila, and there's about 2,700 of them, are
Mhm.
paying for healthcare or school fees for other family members. And so you're
Wow.
seeing this really dramatic multiplier effect by these young women who are graduating and getting jobs. And you're
Yeah.
seeing that their voice, their decision making voice in the
Yeah.
family and the community is much stronger. So when I think about sort of what's our approach, well, it's really that, the education piece gives women voice, but it's really the income piece that gives women choice. And those two together are what's going to create systemic change. Whether we're talking about Rwanda or South Sudan or any of the other countries.
Mm. Yeah, and I love the way you explain voice and choice by creating with the way education and the skills, and they are creating that not only the voice, but they are creating their own choice. So it is really inspiring and it is really motivating. It's making me excited to hear more and more. But just I would like to ask you, Karen, when you are founder, you are president of this Aquila Institute, and you have experienced on this. Uh, so, what way you are thinking? What are your future plans of your work in this direction? If we ask you.
Yeah. I mean, when I think about the African continent and just the incredibly large number of underserved youth there are out there, both men and women, it's really about creating more educational and economic opportunity for young people more broadly, and particularly for women, to create that chance for them to change their own lives, but to also change the lives of others in their communities. And so it would really be about expanding this opportunity for more and more young people beyond Rwanda, really with East Africa and Africa more broadly. I mean, you're going to have a billion youth on the African continent by 2050. And to me, if we can't take care of their education and employment needs, it is a potential risk more broadly. And so I think we have a great opportunity here, but also something that we should be paying attention to. And so really looking at scalable models for higher education for underserved youth is what we're thinking about now. And Aquila recently launched Davis College in 2020 to be able to offer our higher education model for young men and young women. We have received so many questions over the last 10 years, which is, well, it's great that I can come to Aquila, but what about my brothers and my cousins and others who want that
Yeah,
same opportunity? So now we have through Davis College, we have a co-ed option for young men and women, as well as Aquila, the Women's Leadership Institute
yeah.
at Davis. So excited to really scale this up to reach more and more young people.
Wow, that's super fascinating. And when we are talking about, you are talking about this, you are joining brick by brick all these segments, whether it is male or whether it is female. It is reminding me about your book. You are author of your book Brick by Brick. Tell us about this book, what is all about, and how you find this fascinating title and all these information.
Thank you. So Brick by Brick was published just last year, actually right before the pandemic hit. And it
Wow.
chronicles the time that I lived in Rwanda with my 3 sons when they were
Mhm.
teenagers. And I ended up moving to Rwanda because I was working for an organization called Women for Women International, and we were
Yeah.
building the first of its kind Women Opportunity Center in Rwanda. So I went there to both oversee construction as well as to support some of our work in other African countries.
Mhm.
And so the story brings together my personal journey, some of the
Mhm.
things that we're talking about here, and also the stories of some of the women survivors of war that I've worked with, not only in Rwanda, but in other countries over a 10-year period. It's a very
Mhm.
personal story. It talks a bit about my childhood and being a mother and a wife and a development professional, a woman's activist, all of those things. And the reason it's called Brick by Brick is this Women's Opportunity Center I mentioned was literally handmade with bricks, homemade clay bricks, by
Wow.
500,000 of them by women survivors of war in Rwanda. So brick by brick is both literal as well as a metaphor for how women rebuild their lives a brick at a time.
Yeah, yeah, that totally makes sense. The way you explained about your own life, the way you connected with your experiences, and the way you bring those women stories, how they really developed and they have done. brick by brick, I will say, or I said bit by bit, their life for their betterment, for themselves, for their family, and for all their community and society. It is truly inspiring the way you are working on. And thanks a lot for sharing your work. Uh, but before, when we are talking about and we are moving ahead, I just would like to ask you what is the most strong output or points about your this leadership style or work style which you put into your work, and you bring your passion or created this all institute.
Yeah, it's such a good question. I've been doing this work for quite some time now, and I think that I just see how critically important it is for women to be able to change their own lives and in
Mhm.
turn change other lives. And, to create opportunities for women, to help women gain the gift of choice is something that I feel particularly motivated by every single day, because I see what a difference it makes. And, I committed myself actually when I came back from Rwanda that whatever I did next, I would work to advance women, and I'm sticking to that. And if you see my website, it says "Working to Change the World, One Woman at a Time," and that's
Yeah.
literally how I feel. I feel like I'm working to change the world, one woman at a time. And if you see some of these incredible Aquila graduates, many of whom never even dreamed of a higher education, over 50% of whom come from rural areas, 78% are the first in their families to go to college. You
Mhm.
see how changed they are after 2 years. And
Mhm.
that keeps me super motivated every single day.
Yeah, yeah, that is so true. And the way you explain the one woman at a time, it means not only one woman at a time. You are bringing with one woman the whole family, a whole generation, and you are bringing the change in the society, in the family, through one woman, which is really motivating. Once again, thanks a lot for sharing it. When we are talking all about uh, what do you think the way those students who are learning, and or at the moment the audience and viewers who are listening on this platform to us, who can get benefit by maybe connecting with you or with your organization, how they can do that?
Yeah, no, great. I would be happy to connect with your viewers. You can reach me at Karen at aquilainstitute.org. You can look us up, Aquila Institute, on the web. You can get a little bit more information on our education model and how we're working to create change in Africa, and get involved yourself. What I would love to say is, you find your passion, and if you can use your power for good every single day to make life better for women and their families, you will and we will change the world together.
Wow, super, super, super. And so when we are coming on this point, what way do you think the platform like this, Women Dialogue, is so much needed?
Yeah, I think this is a great, it's a great platform. I think what I've realized in my work is every woman has a story. Every single woman has a
Yeah,
story. And so, to me, if this is a platform for women to be able to share their personal and professional stories, and how they are using their power for good, I think that it's a wonderful resource, for everybody to be able to listen and learn.
thank you once again. Thank you for such encouraging and powerful word. And when we are talking about one of the last thing, what advice or message would you like to give to our viewers? It might be from your experiences, it might be from your own thinking, and what way you would like to give the message.
Yeah, I think that just to find what is it inside of you that is really motivating you and charging you.
Mhm.
I didn't grow up thinking really that I would be working on women's issues. It just actually, it wasn't even in my mind at the time, but I came by it and started feeling like this is actually something that I need to do. This is my purpose. I need to harness my purpose and use that to create change and support change for others. So just to do some self-examination and really say, what is my purpose? What am I trying to do? And I think if you start there, really anything is possible.
Yeah. So find your purpose and serve it well, and you will find, yeah, the way of your success as well. I can just reframe in that way. So once again, thank you so much, Karen. It was such a great pleasure to have you on this platform to get that wisdom, the knowledge, the experience, the story which you shared with us. It was really insightful and it was thought provoking for us. Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you so much for your time, and look forward to chatting again in the future.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. And thanks to all viewers. If you would like to hear more women voices and part of Women Dialogues, please connect with us. And please share, subscribe, like, and thank you. See you in the next episode. Don't forget to check the Karen works, and her book link is available in the description as well. See you next time. Till then, take care. Bye bye.